What's good, fam? I'm out here at Berthoud, Colorado, and at Wagner Farm Skate Park. I am going to teach you how to early grab roll in. And I'm actually at the park that I learned how to do this trick on, or trick at. If you have features as such at your park, it's going to work just fine. Basically looking for, at first, smaller transitions with coping so that you can roll in. But let's get started. You're going to like this one. So here's a good tip. Something I always do with every session is start off with a clean grip tape. If you don't know about this, check out the card. You're going to love it. Okay, so one of the first things you need to get comfortable with doing is getting low and learning how to grab. You can actually warm up just riding around the park, getting low and grabbing in the right area. Let me show you what the right area is. So your feet are going to be pretty much a normal riding position. You might pull the front foot a little bit back, maybe even behind the bolts. I grab, same place I grab for backside airs, I grab it right here. And what I do is I'm going to put the thumb pointing that way so that I can force the board, the tail up, trying to keep it towards the feet. But next is just flexibility, being able to get low and grab it right there. So get on the board, you've got your riding stance, heels a little bit off the back, and get low, just grab. That's it, that's step one. Ride around like this, getting comfortable. It helps you start to get stretched down in that position, which is what we're going to need to do. Once you can do that, we'll take it to the next step, which is just doing some kind of hand ollies, and then we're going to go to banks, and then we're going to look for smaller quarter pipes and work our way up. Let's keep going. All right, so once you've cruised around the park a few times, remember, heels off the back of the board a little, front foot back behind the front bolts, and then you're going to get low and grab right here. This is what it should look like riding around the park. It's helping you get stretched and get comfortable with the grab, because this is an early grab roll in. Okay, not just a roll in. You're going to be grabbing and trying to keep that board with you. So the next step is actually going to be to get down and then kind of do a little hand ollie with it. So you're going to lift the front, push down on the tail, and then lift the back leg up and kind of get in the air a little bit. That's it. It's not going to be much. You're just getting in the motion. You're just getting the motion and getting the feel of what you're going to be doing. And that's actually harder than doing the actual trick. Let's get a few more. Heels off the board, riding stance a little bit closer behind the front bolts. I'm gonna get down, grab, and that's it. Get a few of those. Again, those are actually harder than doing the actual trick. All right, so the next step, it actually gets easier. You're gonna do it right at the bank, as if this were at the top of the bank, as if this were coping. What you're gonna do is when you get here, you're gonna lift up, and instead of rolling in or just like flying in like you would do normally, when you get to this point, you're gonna suck up the back and try to land in the transition. Let's do a few. All right, so once we have a few of those, we can take it to a bigger bank. It's actually gonna be easier when we get to coping. This is getting you comfortable with the feeling of it. All right, so a little bit bigger bank here. Still gonna be easier when we get to coping, but again, gets you comfortable with finding the speed and just going through the motion of it. All right, so this might be hard to come by at a park, but if you have one, it's a very small quarter pipe and it's pretty mellow at the same time. This is the perfect one to start getting the feel for bonking off of coping and landing in the transition before we start moving it up. So when I say small quarter pipe, I don't mean something small and steep. You want something small and mellow to learn. If you're going steeper, You really want it to be kind of deep. It gives you time to touch back into the transition. Let's get a few right here first. Okay, so what I did differently there was, as my back approached the coping, I was very light on the back foot, and I consciously used the hand to try to keep the board to the foot. The foot might come off a little bit, and that's okay. It's gonna happen. You won't always keep it fully connected maybe, but if you can, it's great. If not, that's fine too. Just hold your position and it will come back to the board. As long as you don't go forward, backward, you know, in would be fine, but not back, because you'll come off the tail and then do a major portion of the splits, which you don't want to do. All right, let's start moving up. Let's find some more transition. Okay, here's another feature that if you can find at a park, could be difficult to find because it's a roll-in with no coping. And it's steep, like it's like a quarter pipe steep. So you can get a good feel though. If you get the speed, you can fly off, suck in the back leg and make it. One thing that I'll tell you is you want to be going, it's better to be going a little too fast than not fast enough. If you don't go fast enough, that's when you risk hanging up. When you go a little too fast, you'll land further into the transition as far as like going down, but you can still ride away. You'll still be fine. If you don't go fast enough, especially when you start hitting the coping right here, that's when you can hang up. But first, let's get a few right there on the no coping quarter pipe. All right, so you get a few right here, no coping. Now I can inch up closer and start to hit what's like a very tiny piece of almost pool coping before I get to the actual coping. Let's start some here. Watch the lift, watch the suck in with the back foot, airing into the transition, and you land them right away. Another key tip is it's like landing in air but going straight forward. There's no turning, so you're literally going straight in. And it's like landing in air, so you just hold on, keep the knees bent and soft, and you're gonna land into a pump. You gotta commit, you gotta get the right amount of speed. Remember, more speed is better than not enough, especially when you get to coping. And that's it. You're gonna lift, suck in the back, it's gonna click through coping, you keep the board to the feet, and you commit to a pump landing. You're pumping out of the transition. Now in that one I aired and actually let go before I hit the transition, which is fine. If you feel it intuitively, let go but commit to the landing and roll away forward. I'll try to hold on a little bit longer just to see if I can show you that literally you can have the safety gear on the whole time. So I'm gonna land almost with the board held the entire time. All right, so that one I held on as long as I felt comfortable doing. I don't want to land and like jam my thumb with the hard landing, but I was pretty close to connecting and letting go at the same time. Let's inch it towards coping. All right, adjusted the view, coming right here, right at the coping. Okay. I cannot stress enough how much of a commitment trick this is. If you go fast enough, you lift the front. As the rear is getting ready or hits the coping, you suck in the back and commit. You're leaning forward a little bit. Don't get in your head about how much to lean forward. You're just leaning forward a little bit naturally because the board, the side of the board is actually in your hand, and you're making a conscious effort to keep it to your feet by using that thumb technique I taught you. You grab and you're pushing like that with the thumb. So that's it. Let's get a few different transitions and we'll do a wrap up on this one. All right, this transition is similar to one that we were just on. I have a little bit of a straighter shot to it, but it is a little different, slightly, but just showing you the same thing applies to multiple transitions. We're gonna come in right here. All right, this time there's a little obstacle to get around, but I'm gonna try to come straight in right here, right between the flat and the curve, and get one down. I think this transition is a little bit bigger than the ones we've been doing. And then we're gonna get to the fun where we're actually gonna hit the double spine. It's a tiny bit of a launch, but it really kind of lets you air in. All right, again, I want to reiterate how much this is a commitment trick. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it's exhilarating. When you hit that coping, you suck in, you're putting the board to your feet with the hand motion I taught you, where you're pushing the thumb and then the fingers are lifting the board that way. And then it's all commitment from there. You let the forward touch down into the pump and you're right away. All right, so it's time to do a double spine. It's not much transition, but it's enough between this small upslope and the coping to kind of actually let you air in. So it's more commitment. You got to have the speed or you're going to hang up. You don't want too much speed, you'll land the flat. But again, it's always better to have too much on this one than not enough. You don't want to hang up and fall in, I don't know, 3.5 feet to flat on your shoulder. Let's get one. I really felt the back bonk up, and it was kind of the right amount of speed, even though I thought I might, I don't know, I thought at one point I thought I was going too fast, then I thought I was going too slow, so I was like, it's probably the right one, and I just sent it sucked in the back, and I felt it float in. Let's get another one. All right, we can do another one, different angle. Who knows, this one might be the thumbnail. All right, fam, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Remember, key points is you gotta have the right amount of speed. You get low early. Front foot is right behind these bolts here because you wanna grab the side of the board but behind the wheel. And with the grab, you're gonna have this thumb pointing that way, helping keep the board to the feet, especially the back foot. Heels are both a little bit actually off of the rear of the board. When you get to coping, you're going to lift the front. As the back approaches, you suck in the back leg, you use that hand motion, then the coping's going to bump it up as well. You're going to be in some type of angle going down. Don't get hung up on this. I can't tell you if it's 25, 45, 75%. Just be in leaning, which you already will be leaning because you have not the nose, but you have the front side of the board right behind the wheels, so your shoulder's already pretty low. From there, commit. There's going to be some hang time before you connect. You commit to doing the trick. 4 wheels will come down intuitively. You're going to know when to let go. If you want to grab during the landing, you can. Just word of caution, you can jam the thumb if you kind of jar it because you're still holding on there. But intuitively, you kind of know when to let go. That's it. It's a really fun one. I think it's stylish. It's got some 80s vibes. I've seen people doing this. I've always wanted to learn it, and I actually learned this trick. I taught myself last weekend at this park, so I was like, it's a perfect park to teach it on. These transitions are probably, I'm guessing, I didn't measure, but 3.5-ish feet, not taller than 4 feet, all the ones I did. Airing the double spine into it, even though it's a slight one, was fun because it really threw you. All right, if you got any questions about it, let me know in the comments. Have fun doing this one. Look cool, look stylish, have fun, get out there and skate. Peace. I'm out.